Good evening, everyone. It's Tough Love Tuesday here with your coach, Tracy Cromwell, and recovered pre-diabetic Tracy Cromwell. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about a pretty serious topic, pre-diabetes and also type 2 diabetes. I won't be talking about type 1 diabetes, just pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes. And so welcome to the show. As y'all may know, of course, I'm an integrative nutrition health coach. That means I'm focusing on all aspects that affect our lives and our health. So that's career, education, health, food, physical activity, social life, spirituality, all of those things and others affect our health and create our life story. And so tonight I am focusing on health, which is also going to focus on physical activity and also on food and finances, really, which means the topic of prediabetes to start. And then I'm going to talk a bit, again, like I said, about type 2 diabetes. So it's Tough Love Tuesday, and I'm going to give you some tough love about these topics. So as I noted in the post for this, it's pretty scary what's going on with us in the United States in regard to our health and prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. Both are lifestyle chronic illnesses. What does that mean? It means because of the way we live, we create these diseases for ourselves. In the information I'm about to give, some people in their DNA, they're more apt to get prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. But again, as we've learned a lot lately in science, there's something called gene expression. So just because your family has it doesn't mean you have to have it. Your lifestyle can trigger a disease or an illness to happen in you. And so anyway, I'm going to talk about the aspects of prediabetes tonight, how it can create type 2 diabetes, and what does that mean to you? And also how you have opportunity, if you're pre-diabetic, to change your stars like I did, and also just other aspects of it as well in terms of what's happening to our kids. What's happening to our kids? Type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes used to be an old person's disease, meaning, an adult, someone older in life. And as the years progress, more and more younger people are getting diabetes and pre-diabetes. And it doesn't have to be like that. And so anyway, it's a serious health problem. So the information I'm bringing you tonight is from actually the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Mayo Clinic. Also, very, very interesting document it's called the National Diabetes Statistic Report from 2020. And then also from the UNC Health Talk. So prediabetes is really serious. And that's basically when blood sugar levels are higher than normal, but not yet high enough to be diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic. But get this, approximately 88 million American adults, that's more than 1 in 3, have prediabetes. So if you're in a group right now or sitting at work in a group of 15 people, guess what? Several of you are probably pre-diabetic in that group. The scary part on that is that of those that are pre-diabetic, more than 84% don't even know it. And so you don't even know that you're pre-diabetic and you're heading to a life as a possible type 2 diabetic and all the health challenges that brings. Okay, so the good news is, and I can tell you this from my own experience, is you can reverse prediabetes. You do not have to become a type 2 diabetic and living a life with insulin and all the other aspects that can happen with type 2 diabetes. So when I was diagnosed in 2006, I've probably been walking around with it for like a year or or more. And all I know is I just didn't feel right. I didn't feel good. I hadn't been exercising. I had put on weight. I was enjoying a lot of wine and chocolate pairing and, food that I really, knew that wasn't good for me, but I just had no connection as to how it was affecting me. And so had basically lost sight of, the ways I had eaten before that, and I had actually been a vegetarian for a long time and very active. And I got into a state of in my life that so much had changed. I got off kilter and was working a very stressful job. And so I lost sight of taking care of myself and ended up pre-diabetic. So anyway, signs and symptoms of prediabetes. So basically, if you're overweight, that's a sign you could be pre-diabetic and don't know it. 45 years and older, but I think I was 39. 38, 39 when I was diagnosed. So basically age. And as I was saying, these diseases, prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, are affecting more and more Americans and affecting more and more children, which is very scary. So, yes. So being overweight, and I noticed in almost all the study information, that was a real high cause for prediabetes. Having a parent, brother, or sister with type 2 diabetes. So you could have a DNA connection. But as I said before, you have the opportunity through healthy lifestyle and supportive food lifestyle that you don't have to trigger a DNA response, for you to actually have you aren't destined. Let's put it this way. You're not destined. All right. You have a choice. So that's exciting. Let's see. Activity level. So if you're active less than 3 times a week or very sedentary lifestyle, you're more susceptible to become pre-diabetic. And then if you have gestational diabetes, so that's if you were a woman and you had diabetes during pregnancy, or giving birth to a baby who weighed more than 9 pounds, that can lend you more, I don't want to say it this way, more opportunity to become pre-diabetic or diabetic. And then having polycystic ovary syndrome. So it's interesting. There's these things that can trigger you to have higher blood sugar levels and become a pre-diabetic. But and then also they found out too, and this is interesting, is that some ethnicities increase the opportunity, the way the body's DNA is set to be more susceptible to prediabetes and diabetes. And so that's African Americans, Hispanic, Latinos, Americans, American Indians, Pacific Islanders, and some Asian Americans are at higher risk. And it's just that their DNA is that, I was reading of a hunter-gatherer. And so their DNA is meant to store fat more than other DNA strands. And so when you have a body type like that, you have to eat different, the way your body's DNA is set to. And so in America, and now almost everywhere around the world, we have so much food, so much processed food, and we live in the plenty, but also this food is very low in nutrients, so we're basically overeating, but we're still starving, getting lots of calories, but we're nutritionally starving in this American standard diet. And that can cause a lot of problems for our body. And so that was very interesting, information. So knowing your ethnicity is really helpful, and knowing how you'll want to modify your food and what types of food that you pick. So for me, I know there's certain foods that make me feel awful. I know there's certain foods that will make me gain weight, certain foods that will add, I will bloat, and retain water. There's certain foods that make me feel amazing, make me feel light, make me full of energy. And so when I went through this process, having to reverse my prediabetes, I started to pay attention to those things. And this was before I was a health coach, but the reason I became a health coach was because I went through this journey not knowing what to do, diagnosed and kind of just lost, and all I was told was, hey, you can fix this, just, eat less, refined carbs and more whole grains. And so off I went on 4 years of yo-yo dieting and struggling to reverse my diagnosis. And so, anyway, it can be done. You can do it. And there's great results too, even if you have already passed into, the concept that you are type 2 diabetic. There's still amazing opportunity for you to live a vibrant, wonderful life with lifestyle habits that support you. So a diagnosis does not have to mean that it's over for you and that you just sit in a couch all day and wish that you had made better choices in the past. The body's pretty amazing. And so what I want to do is give you lots of hope when I, again, give you a lot of hope here that you can do something about it. Okay. So again, prediabetes, which we're talking about, means that you have a higher than normal blood sugar level. But again, it's not high enough to be diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic yet. But without lifestyle changes, adults and kids with prediabetes are more likely to develop type 2 diabetes. So if you have prediabetes, long-term damage of diabetes is, can be damage to your heart, your blood vessels, and kidneys. And all of that could already be starting at prediabetes. So the great thing, again, and that's from the Mayo Clinic, is that you can do something about it. When I wrote in my first opportunity to be in a book was One Crazy Broccoli. I told my story about changing my stars, and having some hope that maybe I could reverse this chronic disease I had, basically given myself. And so it's not inevitable. Or if I want to say, you do not have to become a type 2 diabetic if you are pre-diabetic. You can do something about it. And that's through, eating foods that support you, support your body. Start moving, get physical exercise. It's so important. And getting yourself into a weight that supports your body. Okay. So, and can help support your blood sugar levels. So that's all so important. If you are a type 2 diabetic already, all those things are going to help you as well. So symptoms are interesting. How do you know you're pre-diabetic? Well, like I said, most people that have prediabetes don't even know it. It's that scary statistic. So you're walking around with a chronic disease, basically, that's a gateway to type 2 diabetes, which is a gateway to other pretty awful chronic diseases, which I'll bring up. And so how do you know? So my symptoms were, number one, I was overweight and the type of food I was eating. And I guess I wouldn't say I was so overweight, but which I think I do have some of the DNA in my family tree that I'm more susceptible to diabetes and more susceptible to those types of things. And so my lifestyle triggered it. And so I was getting really thirsty. I remember at work, I'd get really thirsty. I'd drink a bunch of water. And next thing I know, within a really short period of time, I was hauling butt to the bathroom because I had to go to the bathroom. And I get really thirsty again. And then I was back to the bathroom. And so that's a symptom definitely of type 2 diabetes. But in my experience, I was pre-diabetic and that's what I had. And just bad sleep and just other things. I just felt off. And so if you haven't been to the doctor and you haven't had any blood work done in a while to test your blood sugar, fasting blood sugar level, or now what they have is a wonderful test called the A1C, get those tests done and find out, okay? And if you feel like your lifestyle is leading you to a possibility of being pre-diabetic, start making changes now. It's pretty incredible how some changes you make can help that blood sugar level and that insulin resistant level change to a much healthier level with just doing a few things. So, but again, the classic symptoms for type 2 diabetes are increased thirst, frequent urination, excess hunger, being hungry a lot, fatigue, and actually some blurred vision. So the other thing too, it was interesting. Mayo Clinic mentioned for prediabetes, signs of prediabetes are darkened skin on certain parts of the body. So affected areas can include the neck, armpits, elbows, knees, and knuckles. I didn't have any of those symptoms. So I think it's just really important that you look at your body and kind of do a, from the top of your head scan down and say, how am I feeling? And what is my lifestyle like? Can I be possibly creating a chronic illness in me, through my lifestyle habits? So yeah. And so again, I mentioned family history. Again, prediabetes is when your body doesn't process sugar. It doesn't process sugar, glucose properly. And again, most of our sugar and glucose, the sugar in it comes from our food, and so that's why we can control a lot by what we eat. So I guess my addiction to the big box of Runts at Rite Aid wasn't helping me at all. So I'd go and buy those and I'd have them down in no time. I'd feel terrible after, but I still didn't make a connection. Probably shouldn't eat those. So anyway, things that can increase your odds again, really look at this within yourself is your weight, And one thing too, I just got so upset with myself. I was just really upset that I had allowed this to happen. And I got the mental whip out, and I was just beating myself up. And I was saying, gosh, why didn't I appreciate myself sooner? Why did I let this happen? You know what? It's okay. You have the ability, to say, hey, I'm willing to go on the journey now. I did, lose sight of my health. I lost sight of taking care of me for whatever reason it might be, but I do have the opportunity, so if you are, as I'm going through this risk factor list, say, hey, okay, yeah, that's me. Yep, that's me. But just take it as an opportunity, to decide that you want to change the way you're treating your body, right? So weight again, and especially, having, when you have more fatty tissue, and especially inside and between the muscle and skin around your abdomen. So that's visceral fat, and it wraps around all your organs and everything. And it's been known to increase insulin resistance. So if you do have weight and you're carrying it around your stomach, and men, if it looks like you're going to have a baby, you probably got insulin resistance. You're not supposed to have that visceral fat there. And it's a sign. It's your body telling you, please, I got something to tell you. We got to make a modification. Okay. So if you're carrying weight around your abdomen, most likely you're pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic. And you have that visceral fat. So waist size, this is very informative too. A larger waist can indicate insulin resistance. And it goes up for men with waists larger than 40 inches. And for women with waists larger than 35 inches. So do a check, what's the circumference around your waist? And if you're at that 40 inches for men and 35 inches or more for women, then just, maybe say, gosh, I may not know, but I probably do have insulin resistance. I should probably go get checked out. Okay. I should probably go get that looked at or start to make some changes. In terms of food, these things help increase your odds to get pre-diabetic is, processed meats, drinking sugar-sweetened beverages, eating the Runts that I ate all the time. Diets high in, if you have diets high in fruits, vegetables, and nuts, whole grains, olive oils, and those types of foods, which are anti-inflammatory, lower the risk for prediabetes. So again, it's those processed foods, if you're eating a lot of food out of boxes and stuff like that, versus whole grain foods, whole fruits, whole vegetables, organic meats if you can. Your body can handle those things better. More things that give you an increased opportunity to have prediabetes, that's also type 2, is inactivity. So the less active you are, the greater your risk of prediabetes. So what I had gotten into was working really long days, eating a lot, drinking a lot of coffee, then having sugar to try and not be tired. And then I have this cycle over and over again. And then so I get home, I was too tired. So I ate dinner, and then I do some more work till like 1 a.m, and I go to bed, and I'd be up at 5:30 and do it all again. So that's the other thing. Sleep. People with obstructive sleep apnea, or they don't get enough sleep, have risk of insulin resistance. That was me. I wasn't getting enough sleep. Again, diabetes can develop at any age, but a risk of prediabetes increases after age 45. However, I was in my late 30s when I was pre-diabetic. So family history, race or ethnicity, I'd mentioned, gestational diabetes, if you have polycystic ovary syndrome, lack of sleep, and if you smoke. All of these things, cause distress on the body and then help induce basically prediabetes. The other things to look at that could make you pre-diabetic are high blood pressure, and then low levels of the good cholesterol, being low levels of high density lipoprotein. And then also if you have high levels of triglycerides. So that's where eating, again, foods that support your body, support it to function in the way it's designed to, will help to alleviate all of that. And the interesting part too, if you have the high blood pressure, low levels of the high density lipoproteins, high levels of triglycerides, then the combination, and that occurs with obesity, and that's all associated with insulin resistance. Then that combination of 3 or more of those things is called a metabolic syndrome. So metabolics is how your body is functioning. And so that's one area where you can say, what's my metabolic panel test result look like? And then what can I do to help support better numbers, numbers that show that I'm supporting my body, those types of things. So the tough love part here too is the consequences, complications of, pre-diabetes, and then the progression to type 2 diabetes. So pre-diabetes, again, you can reverse. If you don't reverse it, don't take active steps to reverse it, then then diabetes is a gateway. It's a gateway to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, stroke, kidney disease, nerve damage, vision problems, possibly loss of vision, and then also amputations. So when I realized I was pre-diabetic, I thought about all that. And I was like, I got to figure this out. That terrified me. I was like, I do not want to live my life like that. And I know I can do something about it, So Tough Love Tuesday, you can do something about this. All right. It might not be as fast as you want. It took me 4 years not knowing what I was doing. But the fact is that you can reverse it. You do not have to go on into a chronic disease where you have to have amputations, where you lose your eyesight. You don't have to allow that to happen. Okay. So I like to think of it as this. If you have prediabetes or any of these symptoms, it's your body talking to you, and it's saying, hey, see me, please see me. Help me Be better. Be healthy. Help me be healthy. I'm giving you all these signs, please. And so if you can look at it that way, the symptoms are a wake up, and you're like, heck yes, I read you. I hear you now. All right, I'm going to take the steps to take care of you, body. I promise I'm going to do it, and then it's not easy. I'm not going to tell you, if you get to a state of prediabetes, like I did, the journey can be challenging, but it's worth it. It is so worth it to figure it out. Okay. The other thing, which I did not know this, I just learned this tonight, was prediabetes has been linked with unrecognized silent heart attacks and can damage your kidneys, even if you haven't progressed to type 2 diabetes. And that's from the Mayo Clinic. So again, when we can tune in to our symptoms, and if we have symptoms such as these, and we're getting a metabolic panel from our doctor that says this, we can fix it in regards to our behavior and what we eat. We have an opportunity, right? So anyway, prevention and reversal of prediabetes, and then also, to help you, depending on where you are, if you are type 2 diabetic, you would have to talk to your doctor. There's different levels of type 2 diabetes, and some you can literally reverse and have it go into remission. Sometimes you might be someone that still needs some insulin, but you can live a healthy, amazing, wonderful life. Okay. So what you're going to want to do is, again, eat foods that support your body. Food is software. Food is information. Tells the body to do something. When we eat things contrary to what our body can handle, all this dysfunction happens, like your computer, a computer virus or something like that. And all this mayhem happens. So figuring out the foods that work for you and support you. Okay. Get at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise. That's about 30 minutes for most days. That's it. Moderate aerobic exercise for 30 minutes. I think you can find 30 minutes. So what I've been doing, again, since COVID, and it's really tough, I'm here all the time. My ability to move around and get the activity I had before has been challenging. So now I've challenged myself to 3 times a day. I go out for walks, and I set the timer 15 minutes. I go out 15 minutes and I come back. Some of those walks are more of a run, an interval run, but I go 3 times. That's only 30 minutes, 15 minutes out and back to get my body moving, because I know I've had prediabetes before. I'm susceptible to get it again, and I do not want to have it happen. But I'm sure you can find 30 minutes in your day to get some form walking, moderate aerobic activity. Okay. A really good time to do it, what I found too, is, I love having a walk after dinner, have dinner, go for a walk. It just helps digestion. It helps everything, blood sugar levels and everything. So, the other area to help with prevention is to lose the excess weight. Okay. It's not about being a physically beautiful person in swimsuit or anything. It's about metabolic health. Okay. So losing weight is about your health and feeling good, inside your body, and be able to be active and do the things you want to do, So if you can look at it from that point of view, and that was the other thing. Once I just was like, forget it. I'm not going to try and compete with anybody else in regards to trying to diet, which is what I always used to do. Always used to do that. And then once I just was like, I just want to see what my body can do, and I'm going to get it moving again. I'm going to see what I can find that's fun to do. And then it wasn't about all this superficial stuff that really, only made me, upset, I guess, if that makes sense. So lose the excess weight so that you can have a really great metabolic panel and you feel good. and you can go on hikes and do all these other things, right? So don't smoke. If you smoke, quit smoking. Okay, don't smoke. That's going to help a lot. And then again, controlling your blood pressure and your cholesterol. So that's all part of that metabolic panel, and it's really important. So let's see. I thought, I think one of the main statistics in the National Diabetes Statistic Report, which was just a bunch of stats, but it's right on their website, on the CDC website. But the main thing I saw was overweight and obesity was one of the biggest triggers. Okay, that's just what it is. And so, and then high blood pressure, like I said, cholesterol, low physical activity, and smoking. And let's see, I think I just had a couple other things which we talked about. Oh, and lastly, the two other things, costs, money. I said this is about finances too. So everything is connected and makes our lives, right? So the cost of being diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic, this was from 2017. The total direct and indirect estimated cost of diagnosed diabetes in the United States in 2017 was $327 billion. The total direct estimated cost of diagnosed diabetes increased from $188 billion in just 2012 to $237 billion in 2017. And so we have a big problem, right? And then what they're finding too with COVID-19, it loves people that are compromised with diabetes. Okay, so if that's just another concept of why you want to reverse that prediabetes, why you do not want to become type 2 diabetic, or if you are type 2 diabetic, you want to do something to help your body. Okay, you want to help your body be successful and healthy. All right. So then the other stat was that between 2012 and 2017, excess medical costs per person associated with diabetes increased from $8,417 to $9,601 in 2017 dollars. So if you do become a diabetic, type 2 diabetic, you can look at, and you better put money aside every year of upwards of $9,600. So not only is it something that's horrible on your body with possible sight vision problem, amputations, all of those other things, it's going to tax your budget. And it's also taxing the government budget. It's something that's basically crippling us. Okay. So I did want to briefly talk again about the growing epidemic with type 2 diabetes in kids. Again, type 2 diabetes used to only be diagnosed in midlife or older adults, and now kids are getting it. Okay. So there's something amiss. That, kids shouldn't be getting type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. So again, it's a lot of the same reasons as sedentary lifestyle. I get up on my soapbox about the food that's marketed to kids, these supposed healthy cereals, all this boxed food, processed foods, all of this that has no nutritional value, and their poor bodies can't deal with it. We used to say, oh, when I was a kid, I could eat all that stuff. Reality is no, your body's not meant to get deluged with all this sugar and processed chemical laden foods. The cells don't know what to do with that. Okay. So for kids getting prediabetes at such young ages, is actually, it's horrible. They've got a statement here. It's pretty, sadly, it's very similar Same reasons. Sedentary lifestyle, activity levels, food choices. It's really important to get the kids moving, as important for you to be moving. We as adults, if we have kids, we can be really great examples for our kids. Get out, go for those walks, be active versus sitting in front of the TV a lot. If we think about it, I had heard as well, and I can't remember exactly, when I was doing a lot of volunteer work for the American Diabetes Association, I'd heard a statistic that, we're at a point now where kids are dying before their parents because of diabetes, because of type 2 diabetes. So anyway, the tough love today is that prediabetes is a huge growing problem, which leads to type 2 diabetes, which is a crippling disease that, nobody should have, because, both of them are lifestyle habit diseases. Okay. So my challenge to you is, if you think that you have it, or if you do have it, say, okay, that's it. I'm going to be like Tracy. I'm going to figure it out. I'm not going to let this turn into type 2 diabetes, because I'm not going to be one of those statistics. And I do not want to invest $9,600 a year on insulin and drugs and doctor appointments. I'd rather go on these great vacations, make a commitment to your body, that you're not going to let that happen. And then switch that commitment and say, hey, I'm going to figure it out, but you know what? I'm going to have a fun time figuring it out. I'm going to have a great time figuring out my body, what makes it work best, what makes it feel good, what foods make it feel awful, all of those things. Okay. So, and if you have kids that are battling with it, they're great. There's, a lot of guilt and embarrassment can come around being diabetic, type 2 diabetic, because it is something that is lifestyle habit. And you think about kids, and, they were talking about they can get pretty depressed, as well as adults, because it is, judgment can be placed on someone, and again, I get it. I was there. And so if you can make it a fun discovery and say, oh my gosh, look at this, we got to make some changes. And there's support out there. There's lots of wonderful websites. The American Diabetes Association, the Center for Disease Control has great links. The UNC Health Talk has great information to get support. And then I think the best part for me was, and then I'll conclude tonight, was once I stopped blaming and I stopped shaming myself, and I started to look at opportunity and made it fun, and just started to figure out cause and effect. I ate this, I felt like that. Oh my gosh, I ate this, I went into a coma, I wanted to go to sleep. So why is that? I shouldn't feel like that after I eat. Okay. Oh, I ate this, my heart rate goes way up. Okay. All right. Take note. And just have it be, a non-judgmental discovery. And then eventually you will figure it out, and your brain will be worried. Your brain's going to be scared. I've said this before on other broadcasts, when I started modifying my, my food intake. Yeah. For solutions was, food intake. My brain swore I was going to starve to death, And so there was that little bit of tough love for my brain, having to learn we're not going to starve because we're eating, the portion sizes we should. And we're not being punished because we're eating portion sizes that are appropriate for us. It's not about that. It's about, how are we supporting ourselves? How are we supporting our bodies versus hurting them by overeating and things like that. And so getting your brain to realize that the change is actually going to be pretty great is good. So, Yeah. Once you find out if you are, or if you want to prevent becoming pre-diabetic and you have some of the symptoms I talked about, is acceptance. All right, you're where you are today. Okay. Figure out, how did I get here? What do I think are things that I did or things like that? And not in a judgmental way, but hey, what were the things that I've been doing? What have I been eating? How have I been doing those things? Accept it, then honor your body and yourself, and then decide to make a difference. So again, you can learn more about yourself and how to get through things like that with my book, Your Personal Journey with Food. You can get it, on Amazon now, and then all other places you can order it. From most places you buy books, you can order the book now. And then also, I thought I'd tell you, I have created some new programs. And so, to learn about my newer coaching programs and some of my pricing, head on over to my website, tracycromwell.com. I think there's a drop-down link called Work With Me, and you can see those there. And again, I've been there. I've been there. And so I understand if you're wanting to make changes like I did, I can help you through it and completely get the process. And so head on over there if you'd like to learn more about that, and or private message me. But you can do something about it. You can change your stars and live an incredible life. Okay, so have a great night, and I'll talk to everybody later. Okay, take care.